There's lots of, I guess, gurus out there who are trying to like say like, oh, you don't want to work with agents. Agents are some of the best partners that are out there because this is what they do for a living, right? And they're willing to put the work in, and in most cases, they don't even get paid unless there's a
Deal
transaction
close.
that closes.
Yeah.
So I would definitely recommend a lot of investors out there, if they don't work with agents, reconsider it. If you find the right agent that's investor friendly, who knows the business, they're going to be some of your best boots on the ground, especially if you're doing stuff virtually.
Hey, welcome back to the Mission to Wealth podcast. I'm your host, Tim Yu, and I got an awesome guest today. We got the co-owner of Privy, Benson Juarez. He is an experienced and accomplished entrepreneur with 20 plus years of experience in real estate, technology sales, and business development. He's co-founded several companies within the real estate and technology industries, and he's also a full-time licensed real estate agent. All right, so let's get into it. So Benson, what's going on, brother?
Not much, Tim. How are you, man? It's good to see you.
Yeah, man, it's been a while. I think I saw you out in Arizona, so it's good to catch up with you for a little bit. But things are going well, man.
Very good. Very good. Good to hear. I'm glad to hear the podcast is going well. Sounds like you're getting some good traction.
Yeah, man, we got a couple great guests, including yourself. So let's friggin' dive into it, man.
Yeah,
Let's tell the audience who you are and what you're about.
cool. So Benson Juarez, I'm a real estate investor or entrepreneur. I've been in different ventures in the real estate space for years. I got started in 2001. Currently a licensed agent. I'm an investor. I do, rental properties. Haven't done a fix and flip for a while, but I've done some fix and flips. Closed on one, I don't know, 5 or 6 months ago was my last one. I just started doing multifamily syndications. Got a property right now that we're working on up in North Dakota.
Wow.
Some private money lending, doing some, just lending to people who are, either need EMD or doing fix and flips. And I am one of the owners of Privy. It's a real estate investment software platform. And then I recently launched a brand of my own called Omni, REI, which is multiple different things, but we're starting off with a off-market marketplace where you can buy and sell real estate, and be launching some other products underneath that brand as well.
Amazing. Dude, that's kind of cool. So that's a lot to unpack there, right? You just rattled off everything under the sun with real estate. And it's pretty sweet that you're a founder, one of the founders of Privy. So how did that come to be? So you've obviously been in the real estate space, but how did you get into like the software side of it?
Yeah, so I went to school for computer information systems was my major.
Okay.
And so I have a technology background. Half my curriculum was coding, half of it was in business, so that CIS degree. So I've got a good handle of both sides of the business. And after the downturn of the market in 2008 and 9, I kind of recreated myself as an investor-friendly agent and hung my license at a brokerage that had bank-owned properties.
Oh, okay.
And so I really was just looking to strategically get an opportunity to see properties before they hit the market. And instead of just building relationships with agents, I said, okay, I'm just going to be that agent who has, those relationships. And so I had the ability to see these properties before they hit the market, analyze them, do all my due diligence, built my buyer's list of investors, and was also looking for properties for myself. And so I couldn't get anything off market technically because they were bank owned properties. They have to go through a proper process, but I was way ahead of the game, right? So the typical investor would have to see the listing hit the market, do their due diligence, go do a showing. I had all that done by the time it hit the market.
Oh, wow.
And if I was going to write an offer, it was in like the minute it went on the market. And so I would try to get my offers close to asking price, making sure I was paying attention to the right areas, right? Because in areas where after repair values are driven by investor activity, you can offer asking price on a house that needs work and it can still be at a big discount, right? Because ARVs are driven by properties that are renovated. And so if I could get close to asking price, I could win those bids pretty quickly. And
100%.
it was just about, having the right price and speed to lead. right? Which is how a lot of people get deals done. So my business partner now, Scott Fall, was also an agent in that office. And so we would throw ideas around about how we could automate all the tedious tasks that were being completed to be able to find, analyze, and track investment properties. And so it was really born out of the problems that we were facing as investor-friendly agents. And the funny thing is that I had already invested. I was doing angel investing, so investing money into startup companies.
Yep, yep. Like venture capitalist type things.
Now, venture capital, this would be probably considered like angel, like seed investments,
Okay,
right? Venture
got it.
capital is usually like an A or B rounds.
Yep.
They
You're
really
like,
want
yeah,
more,
you're like the one tier under that.
one or even two tier. It just depends on how they structure it. But you're coming in to help companies go from concept to like creating an MVP, and or it all depends. But I really enjoyed the technology space, and my degree was already obsolete by the time I got out of school, basically, because it's just that's how fast the industry works. But I was always interested in technology, and so I invested in a company out of California, and the CEO of that company raised $1 million plus, and so he asked if I would come out and help him run that company operationally, and so I moved out there, and so I kept my license active, and Scott, my business partner, was really starting to put together this concept of Privy, and we were throwing those ideas around, but he really was the brainchild of Privy. And so I invested with him to launch the Privy product as an angel investor, went out to LA to help run this other company. And while I was out there, Scott was finding the right developers and, putting concept to paper and created an MVP. And then in 2014-15, he was ready to really start pushing out to market. And I was finishing up my stint with that company out in California. We didn't end up making it. And so he's like, well, listen, man, I'm ready to push this. We come back out to Colorado and help me run this company. And so we back out to Colorado, we hit the ground running. And, we've really been pushing Privy out there for the last, 10 or so years to put it in the hands of real estate agents, real estate investors. And now we even have propositions for hard money lenders, title companies, anybody who really needs to get access to real estate data to make better decisions.
Yeah, I mean, if for the people that don't know what Privy is, like, it is a pretty awesome software. It's like it's like a brainchild of like PropStream and all these different data software companies on steroids. Like for me personally, I use it to find buyers for my wholesale deals. We literally look up the zip code of like who's purchased properties in those areas, and they're the first person that we call if we have a deal in that area. So yeah, the software is pretty life-changing, bro. So it's pretty crazy
Yeah, I'm
that
glad you
it's been
like
running
it.
for 10 years.
Yeah, a lot of people think that we just came out of the woodwork and they're like, oh my God, you guys had so much success so quickly. And truth of the matter is we were grinding for many years just to you get the product out there, get fit, market fit. We were solving the problems of our customers, because a lot of leaders of companies, and we made the same mistake too, is we knew what we wanted it to do, right? Because we were in the space, but you put it out there and then you start to get feedback from customers and they're like, oh, well, we wish it would do this, or it'd be better if you could tweak this feature to, have it run this way. And so it took some time to really get that fit. And then also originally too, because of a good portion of the data that we bring into Privy comes directly from MLSs, took time to grow because we had to go on a market by market basis. There's no national MLS data source that is the same data that like agents and appraisers use, right? You have to go on a one by one basis. There's some aggregators out there, but it's really like a watered down, diluted version of what you can get if you go direct. And so we were always like, we want the best data to be here. So we went direct, and it takes time. So we were only in select markets, and then that growth was slower, but it was a blessing in disguise, because it ended up digging a pretty deep and wide moat around our company, because a lot of companies were not willing to put that work in to get that high quality data. They'd rather just go nationwide with diluted data that was inaccurate or
Outdated.
outdated, right? And so that's caused a problem for a lot of the platforms that are out there, like that we both know.
Yeah, that's crazy because like I never thought about it, right? Because obviously, from the investor standpoint, we just get data from everywhere, bro. It's like if you got the money, you can get the data. And all these different companies are telling you that we have the best data. And it's like, how can you tell from an investor standpoint, like which company is going to give you truly like the best data? So I really love that explanation of how you guys built those relationships with the MLS and where you guys are pulling the data, because that's huge.
It is huge, and the compliance is an extremely difficult challenge. Right, we have to jump through a lot of hoops. Just to get access to one feed from us, one MLS could take months because you have to go through their complete process, all the bureaucracy, memos with the heads of those companies, and you have to convince them that you're going to be a good steward of their data and just not release it to the public because that's the thing that they do not want. So Privy is a closed platform. Like you can't go online and just be like, hey, here's Privy and use it. It's behind a paywall. The data has to be stored in a very specific way and used in a very specific way. We have to connect. Any investor that comes into Privy has to connect with an agent.
Yeah, I forget. Yeah, I did notice that. Okay, that's why, right? Like,
That's why, like, the data is
okay.
owned and it's maintained and created by agents, right? And so, we're really all about helping to create a collaborative environment where agents and
Mm,
investors can work together. And so, if without that agent being involved, it would not be the same quality of the data that we have. And so, there's lots of, I guess, gurus out there who are trying to like say like, oh, you don't want to work with agents. Agents are some of the best partners that are out there because this is what they do for a living, right? And they're willing to put the work in, and in most cases, they don't even get paid unless there's a
deal
transaction
close.
that closes.
Yeah.
So I would definitely recommend a lot of investors out there, if they don't work with agents, reconsider it. If you find the right agent that's investor friendly, who knows the business, they're going to be some of your best boots on the ground, especially if you're doing stuff virtually. And they have that local market knowledge that will help you better understand what's happening on the ground there. Because one of the biggest problems with investors, especially doing stuff virtually, is not really understanding where the market shifts are happening on the ground. Like, if you're comping a property right here on Main Street and you go 4 streets over, like it might be a completely different
Oh
neighborhood,
yeah.
even though it's within a reasonable distance, like a quarter of a mile or half a mile, which would be fine in a normal comping situation. But if there's a cutoff there between two different neighborhoods and things shift,
Oh yeah.
you may be using the wrong data to comp a property out. And the the standard like filters that we would use for comping won't catch those local market
Correct.
subtleties that an agent wouldn't know.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you. I was one of those guys that despised working with agents, right? Because all the programs that we're in are like, man, just go direct to seller. And we just recently changed our whole entire marketing for cold calling or outbound leads, where we're actually just going direct to agent now. Because, if you talk to 1,000 agents, you'll get a couple of agents that are very investor friendly. And bro, they will work for you, bro. Like they are workhorses.
Oh
You know what I
yeah,
mean? And you just need one agent that brings you an opportunity. You close, get them paid, and they literally will just keep feeding you listings that like they can't sell.
yeah,
And you become that go-to like creative investor or whatever type of niche you want to do. So I freaking agree with you 100%.
yeah. And that's one of the things that, as we've been growing and releasing new features and functionality inside of Privy, is building more features for agents to get their information in front of investors. So we've got this cool new feature where it'll show investor friendly agents that use Privy in your target markets. They'll show right on the screen, and
Okay.
they'll have their contact information, their socials, their website, a bio, so you can understand what they're good at. Right? Are they like a good agent to help you find a rental property? Or are they
Mm-hmm.
somebody who understands creative? Or are they somebody who focuses on fix and flip? And so you can see that they have the experience that you want and the areas that you need and the strategies that you want to employ, and then make those connections. And then you just build like this super team They're
Yeah.
just out there killing deals.
I love that, right? Having that labeling system on the agents. Because now it's like, I got like 3 fix and flip agents in Kentucky. I got that creative one. You know what I mean? Like, that's really, really cool. So I'm excited to see that function for sure.
Yep. Yeah. We launched that. And then what else did we launch for them? Oh, so for them as well, for agents, agents are listening, we have a system now where you can add investors to Privy, and then they can set them up on drips where they can send them deals that match their specific deal criteria, which is different than what the MLS can do, right? The MLS has standard filters, or like
Mm.
Redfin or Zillow does, like, 3 bedroom, 2 bath under, a certain price and a certain zip code. Like there's very basic filters. But one thing that MLS doesn't do, or any site out there that I know of, is search for deals, right? And a deal is, what you define it to be, but it could, for most people, it's properties at a discount. So
Mm-hmm.
like maybe you want to get a property at 65% of the after repair value. There's no way outside of Privy that I know of where you can find discounts and then have the data that supports that thing's a deal. So we've got deal finding algorithms that are monitoring all of these areas for the agent and their investors to find deals that match our specific deal criteria from a discount perspective or from a cash flow perspective. So if you're looking for a rental property that's at a 10% cap rate, that it will go and it'll find those. Again,
Yeah,
MLS
just
won't do that.
crazy.
None of the other sites on the internet will do that either.
Yeah, that is crazy how you guys integrated all that stuff. And it's like how'd you guys like integrate all that stuff with the data? It's like it's nuts that you can search for those investment properties so easily on the platform.
So the key is that we track investment activity. So historical investment activity nationwide. So a deal is what another investor is already done basically and created a comp, right? You need
Mm-hmm.
comps. That's what defines what a deal is. And so if you're in an area where people aren't actively doing investment deals, whether they're flipping or but doing rentals, you have no comps, right? So that the after repair value, let's just say it's a fix and flip situation, is determined by what the most recent house that was just fix and flipped. That's
Mm-hmm.
ARV. So the easiest way to find a deal, hands down, is just to find that unrenovated home that needs some work, that's got maybe a distressed situation, um, deferred maintenance, or maybe there was water damage, or a fire, or some situation that made it not work. If you can find that house that's down the street from a house that was just fixed and flipped and closed yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
that's how you find a deal. So if we
Makes sense.
track all the stuff that was fixed and flipped and sold, and we're tracking the neighborhoods, then all you have to do is just search those specific neighborhoods for these unrenovated houses. And then Privy will notice the difference between the after repair value for what that house sold for, and then the price of the house that's listed. And if that margin matches what your filter is inside of Privy, then it'll flag it. It builds a comparative market analysis for you,
Mm-hmm.
pulls comps, puts that report together, and it emails you and says, "Hey, Tim, we found a property in that zip code you were tracking that's at 65% of the ARV, that's lower than 200 grand, that's a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, that has no HOA. We found it. Here it is. Write an offer." So to do that manually, man, it could take you
Oh yeah.
days to do all that just for a single property.
Yeah. Doing all the underwriting, comparing everything. My gosh. I mean, dude, that's what we used to do every single day, like looking at properties.
It's a nightmare. And again, most people aren't even doing this full time. So
It's
think if you
true.
got a full-time job and you're doing this on lunch and evenings and weekends, like you're going to miss out on opportunities. But our system has automation built into it. So
Yeah.
once you create that filter and you save it, Privy's constantly monitoring those areas. Then when it finds a property that matches that criteria, it sends you that email, and then you just take action. So
Yeah.
it's
All you gotta
really
do is
good for
submit the
scaling
offer.
and for being people that are being busy. And
Yeah.
it's also great for agents too, because their highest and best use is not sitting behind a computer running comps all day,
Correct.
right? It creating relationships, maintaining relationships with their investors, doing showings and going to closings,
Yep.
right? And so it really allows, and again, this is the reason why we built in the first place. It allows people to automate all the tedious tasks that just take hours and hours and hours to do that oftentimes get left undone because they're out doing other things. And so they're missing opportunities.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And you're solving a major problem with this software, and I think that's the biggest thing, right? You got, I know many agents that work like 60, 70 hours a week driving all over the city showing properties, and the last thing they want to do is help a new investor comp like 10 properties.
Oh, I know.
That's the
That's
worst,
like they'd
bro.
rather just bang their head against the wall than
Yeah.
do that.
And then they do all the underwriting and then they don't actually close a transaction with that investor. That's probably the worst.
Yeah, because investors, especially newer ones, they're not really quite sure what a deal is. So like even if the agent says, "Hey, this is a deal," the newer person or the person that is, maybe they're not new, maybe they're just in a new area and that
Yeah.
area is new to them. So they don't know what a deal is. So they hesitate or they procrastinate or they lowball offers because they're not really sure where they should be to there's a sweet spot in writing offers on deals, because if you go too low, you have no chance of winning the bid because
Yep.
someone's going to come in higher than you. So a lot of people err on the side of being conservative on their price because they'd rather miss out on a deal than offer too high.
Yeah.
But on the other side is you don't want to offer too high, win the bid, but realize that there's not enough margin there. Like you used the wrong comps, or you didn't realize that your house was on a busy street and all the comps that you were using were inside, and shouldn't have been an adjustment there on value. Or your house faced, the mountains and you got the view, and so that's a 20% premium or something
Yep.
like that. Like all those things matter. So with the help of an agent for on-market deals, right? Because you don't need an agent for off-market, even though they're valuable for that too. Like you just said, those pocket listings are
Hmm.
a great source of opportunities. With an investor, can see that same activity, right? So what I always tell people who are new or people that are starting in a new market is to go back, look at our investor activity, and look at the last 10 to 20 closed deals that happened in that market. And that'll basically show you what a deal is. You can see what they bought
Yep.
it for. You can see what they sold it for. You can see the percentage of after repair value. You can see the before and after pictures side by side to see what drives value. And then like you,
Crazy.
if you're building a buyer's list, the flipper that closed that deal goes on your list. And then
That's right.
their buy box because you're looking at a deal they just fix and flipped and closed recently.
Exactly. And all it takes for you guys to do, if you guys are like dispo guys or wholesalers, like literally just look at the zip code, look at the deals that close, and just be a human being and call them. Hey, just saw you bought a house on this zip code, man. You still buying? That's
Yeah.
all it takes, right? So that's awesome. Switching gears out of Privy, because Privy is awesome, but
Yeah.
you did say that you're working on your new endeavor, your website that has all these deals like a marketplace. Can you kind of dive into that a little bit? That sounds really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So it's called Omni Marketplace, omnimarketplace.net. It's actually free to join. The newer platform. So it's kind of the chicken and the egg situation where we need supply so we can get demand, or we need demand so we can get more supply, right? So we're just growing both of those at the same time. Uh,
Hmm.
but it will rival platforms like Investor Lift, who have actually there's high entry fees to get in there, which isn't
Gosh,
viable
we are those guys.
for most newer investors who don't have consistent revenue coming in yet. So those big checks going out can be pretty alarming. So our platform will be there to help fill that gap, where we're going to bring in not just buyers, but also deals. So if you are a buyer, you can sign up on the platform, and then eight wholesalers, agents, or other people that are selling properties will post them on there, and then you can see deal flow and get your hands on some properties that are off market. But I think in the future there's going to be some potentially on market stuff as well, and then all different asset classes too. So single family,
Okay.
multifamily, land. And right now, the developers are working on a tool to be able to buy and sell properties using tokenization. Are you
Oh,
familiar with that?
yeah. So I think so. We briefly talked about this.
Yeah.
Are you using DAO?
No, no.
Okay.
We're going to be using Ripple integration. So Ripple
Okay.
is the company that created XRP, and XRP has been tied up in this SEC suit
I know,
about,
bro. I bought so much XRP back in the day.
yeah, well, I think you're going to be fine. I think they're going
Yeah,
to figure this out. They're just trying to make an example of a company, right? And so
yeah.
Ripple got involved in that, but Ripple by itself is fine. That company is completely separate than XRP. XRP is a different offering. Ripple is basically like a blockchain payment system that allows for tokenization.
Hmm.
Venmo, PayPal, Amazon, several other companies have transferred their end-to-end payment platforms over to Ripple. That's how safe it is. So it's transparent. It's on the blockchain. Very secure. Payments happen in an instant, and so that's kind of the future of payments. But that same blockchain foundation is where the tokenization of real assets can happen. So there are platforms out there right now. They're very expensive and usually requires a consultant or a lawyer to be able to tokenize a real estate asset, breaking it up into fractional ownership pieces, and then you can sell those or buy those. And so we're going to have something similar in the platform where you can go and you can buy and sell real assets, be anything from to a standard fix and flip, where like you could raise money to do a fix and flip, create a project on there and bring cash in, or it could be a large multifamily property.
Yeah.
And then the creator of the project defines the size of the token. So a token could be $1,000 or a token could be $1 million, depending upon how much they're trying to raise.
Hmm.
And so it's also safe for the investors, right? Because most investors who would be using this are familiar with, um, Bitcoin or XRP or whatever, you know, um, platform they're currently doing crypto on. They have wallets already potentially. And so they would be able to buy and sell real estate and move those tokens into real assets, not just a token that goes up and down based off of the fluctuations of the market.
Yeah, so what's crazy about this is, it's kind of, you don't need to syndicate deals. You don't need to, like, if you pay the money, you get the right structure and you tokenize like an asset, like let's say a $10 million asset, you technically don't need to syndicate because you're just selling tokens, right? Essentially, like,
Well, there's still compliance that has to happen, right? So
okay.
the way that our team is doing it, the CEO of our company is working on building the compliance portion of it right into the platform. And so, it's not going to be up to the person who is, doing the tokenization to understand all of that. That will be built into it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a lot less expensive. I've heard costs of like $50,000 to be able to tokenize a decent sized
Wow.
asset, which is out of bounds for most people. There's still some stuff to be figured out, and the technology is being built, but it is the future. Like it's coming down the pipe. It's just a matter of who's going to be the first movers, and then the people that are going to leverage this technology to do new types of real estate transactions to get their foot in those which may be out of reach to be able to invest in multifamily. Because for most
Yeah.
people to invest in multifamily, it's going to be a syndication deal, and I don't know of any that are like less than 50,000.
No.
It's probably even 100,000 in most
And you got to be
cases.
accredited. You got to, jump
Mhm.
through all these hoops. It's not really accessible to like the everyday people.
Yeah, it's not.
Do you see the token industry becoming more of like a like overall like marketplace? So let's say like I buy a token for $100,000 and the property or asset appreciates and I could sell it on the secondary market.
Oh yeah, 100%.
See,
That's
that's
that's where
crazy.
that's where it'll be going, right? So your token value is not based off of, like I said, market fluctuations or supply
Hmm.
and demand of the tokens. It's based off of the value of the real estate asset.
Yeah, see, I love that because, it's not like the stock market where it's all speculation. It's all
Hmm.
like, oh my God, the news came out, the stock is going down, whatever. It's whatever the house or, you know, asset you own. So that's pretty awesome. That's crazy. And I could just sell it. Like if I need cash, like liquid cash, I could just try to sell it on the secondary market. and
Yeah.
see if I can get any buyers.
Yeah,
Wow. Okay.
absolutely. And I don't know if this will happen, but it occurred to me, like, if you had $1 million token, that might be hard to sell, but could
Can I
you tokenize
split
a
it?
token,
Yeah. Can you split it up
split it
more?
up into smaller tokens?
I would imagine you could because it's still a finite amount. It's not like, you know, it's not like you're like making stuff out of thin air, right? It's $1 million token and the value will still add up to 1 million. I don't know. That's crazy.
Well, let's just say it was like it doubled in value while you owned
Yeah.
that $1 million token. So now it's worth 2 million. So then you could break up that token into smaller chunks, and maybe it's $100,000 chunks. So you got, what is that? 20 chunks
20. Yeah. 20 chunks.
that you'd sell.
Yeah. Like what if I just want to sell 10, keep my other 10 in?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like it is very interesting. And I'm very curious to see because the barrier of entry is super, super high and it's so new. When do you think like an estimated timeline of like when this will be like more popular?
Oh God, it could take
Like a long
years. I
time?
mean, crypto's what, 15 years old, something like
Mm-hmm.
that, and it's still not popular, right? Like it's
Oh
still
yeah.
sort of like behind the scenes, and
It's got a dark like tone to it ever since
yeah. So I mean, who knows how long it's going to be? Um, but people still made money in it.
yeah.
There's people that have made millions or billions of dollars in crypto.
Yeah. People are still making money now.
Yeah.
Just the strategies are a little different now, but it's just, it's got like a dark, ominous feel to it just because of like all the controversy with like, all the SBF guys and stuff. But it does have its like benefits, and I do see how the future is leaning towards crypto. So I'm excited to see like how it is with like all the real estate stuff. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
crazy. You guys are going to be like kind of like pioneers on this.
Well, there's a lot of other companies out there that have much more money than we have, that, you know, are publicly traded, that are investing into this space. So,
Mm-hmm.
but those are the companies where it's still out of reach for the average people. So we're going to be riding those coattails, but making it so it's available for the masses.
Yep.
That's where I think our niche is going to be. We'll tell, but it's
Yeah.
pretty exciting to think about and to talk about.
Yeah. It's a great idea. So, man, dude, I feel like there was so much crazy stuff talked about, man. We went from Privy, crypto to Omni, all these crazy things. This is the part of the show where we like to kind of showcase you even further and like your business. So, what do you got going on? What help do you need? And like tell everybody where they can find you. And we're gonna add all the links down in the description. So if you need to connect with Benson or all the things that we've talked about, it's all gonna be down in the description. So floor is yours.
Yeah. Well, I guess first thing is, if you think that you are looking for access to, very good data that you can use to comp properties out, search for deals, build a buyer's list, connect with investor-friendly agents. If you are an agent and you want to get access to more investors, it's currently free to join Privy, and we don't charge for leads. You can connect with people there. Just go to, we'll put a link down. We'll put a link in there to where you can sign up, and I'll put a promo code as well so you can get a discount, and try Privy out. If you want to get on the marketplace and help us to add inventory or to build that buyer side too, we'll put a link in there too. That's just omnimarketplace.net. And then finally, if you're thinking about investing in multifamily, let me know, because we have lots of opportunities coming up, syndication deals. There's some really cool properties that are out there that we're viewing. Send me an email. We'll put a link in there as well. You can connect with me and get on the list of properties that we're going to be working with in your future.
Amazing, dude. I may have to hit you up on those syndication deals, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
So
exciting, man. Like, I've done it all. Like, I've done all the fix and flip and the wholesale, and, there's always limited time. And so, I mean, I could spend 6 hours, trying to put together a wholesale deal, or I could spend 6 hours trying to put together
a
a
massive deal.
syndication deal,
Yeah.
right? And the payoffs are different, right? So it's very interesting to me. I'm very excited about it. I've got some amazing partners, and working with some really, good groups that have billions of dollars under management. So it's
Amazing.
pretty fun.
So you got great operators, man.
We do. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Dude, I appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah. Thanks, Tim. I appreciate the invite, brother.
Of course, man. Talk soon.
All right. Take care. Bye, everyone.
Hey, welcome back to the Mission to Wealth podcast. I'm your host, Tim Yu, and I got an awesome guest today. We got the co-owner of Privy, Benson Juarez. He is an experienced and accomplished entrepreneur with 20 plus years of experience in real estate, technology sales, and business development. He's co-founded several companies within the real estate and technology industries, and he's also a full-time licensed real estate agent.